Hello, hello. Welcome back to Modern Day Feminism. I have Dr. Parthenia Grant here, and she's just a phenomenal person, as well as a really big inspiration to not only myself, but my family. So I definitely wanted to welcome her and just ask her a few questions. She's very inspirational to all the people that she comes in contact with and definitely helps people get through a lot of their personal issues that they have. So I just wanted to ask you a few questions and really dig deep into what you do and what your mission is to help women.
Okay. Well, I feel like anything that you do for women, you are also simultaneously doing it for children because we, as women who are mothers, and you're a mother, you know that whatever your emotional state is, it is going to affect your child. And when you look at the planet, we're talking about children as our future, as our posterity. And so not focusing on the mental, physical, and spiritual well-being of women has been one of the biggest mistakes on the planet. And if you look at the state of affairs for children today and the crisis that we're in, because most women today, as you are, and as I became, are single moms. Mm-hmm. And when you look at the statistics, 50% of women who have been married receive zero child support, and the other 50% receive a lot less than the courts have said that they needed in order
Right.
to raise children. And many of them that are getting, child support are getting like the minimum amount, like $200 a month. Mm-hmm. And you can't even really buy Pampers for the month with that.
Exactly.
So it is really important. It's critical to focus on the welfare of women.
Awesome. So, how do you really tap into what you do? I know you work with a lot of people when it comes to their health and just holistic medicine and, what they eat and their trauma. And please share a little bit about your projects and what you have going on with that.
Well, I am completing a documentary called From Trauma to Transformation because trauma, when it's unhealed and unaddressed, it might be pushed into the subconscious, but it is still going to affect everything that you do. And especially when something happens that triggers the memory of that trauma. And I'm not saying by any means that we only have one trauma in our lifetime. We have many traumas that have to be addressed, but there are the big ones that are going untreated and unaddressed. And it's causing illness. It causes excess weight. And it causes mental and emotional issues that create depression and anxiety and panic attacks. So I feel that unhealed and unaddressed trauma is literally the unaddressed epidemic of this century.
And let me ask you something. How do you think this works as far as entrepreneurship? Because, a lot of women, we have this kind of like, whether we're all dealing with different traumas in our life, how do you think it affects us in the business world? Yeah, no, definitely. So I just, all right, what's a word that you can give to entrepreneurs if they're dealing with things to really progress themselves in the business world without feeling stuck?
Okay, so now that is an important question that has to be addressed on two levels, because unaddressed trauma can prevent people from, and in particular women, from following their dreams, period. Like they can be the most creative, the most brilliant, the most talented women in the world, and yet will sacrifice themselves for the sake of children or family or societal norms, that will say, oh, you're a woman, so you should stay at home and do
Mm-hmm.
this, or you should be the one in the family that takes care of your parents. When, let's say, the older brother has more money and has more means to do it. And
Right.
I used to think, I used to use this book, like Water for Chocolate,
Mm-hmm.
in my classes because it's an incredible story, and it was turned into an incredible movie. But I didn't know that this is a real tradition in many Latin American cultures,
Okay.
Mexican, Central America, um, where the youngest daughter is expected to be the one to take care of her parents and to forego even getting married. So I thought this was just a story. So, and I thought, well, if it did happen, when I found out that it
Mm-hmm.
is a part of the tradition of some of these cultures, that, oh, it's the new millennium and that doesn't still happen. But no, it's still happening and it's still expected in these cultures. So, how do we address entrepreneurship? So,
Mm-hmm.
let's say that you're one of those women like yourself who, um, by necessity, most women became entrepreneurs by necessity. I mean, have you noticed?
Exactly. This is why modern day feminism is here. It definitely had to create something for women to be able to sustain themselves by themselves. So that's definitely how I feel. And I notice that just a lot of the women that I encounter and talk to,
They're doing it out of necessity,
they're doing
right?
it out of necessity.
Okay, well, let's look at that. So, you have women that would love to be entrepreneurs, right? But
Yes.
they're afraid of failure. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a big problem, which I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. Okay, but you've also got women like you who, out of necessity, you have a child
Mm-hmm.
and you're now a single mom.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really important if you can find a way to work from home, or to control your own schedule, which it is possible now because of the internet and all of the new options that are coming up for entrepreneurs,
Right.
for you to work from home. That would be the ideal situation for a single mom to be able to work from home because, as most people know, you often, by the time you pay for the high cost of childcare, you come home with very little money and you're tired and you're starting to wonder, okay, well, what am I doing this for? I don't even get to see my child.
No.
My quality of life is down the tube, and
Yeah.
you're just trying to make ends meet, right?
Right.
Okay, so what I would say, in terms of how do we address entrepreneurship in terms of the unaddressed issue with trauma,
Mm-hmm.
is that, okay, when the trauma is unaddressed, you come up with these medical problems, and many young people are developing, and many are dying from diseases of old age,
Right.
diabetes and cancer and heart disease, and that's just the tip of the iceberg, right?
A much younger age
Much
than they
younger.
were before,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. So many of them are addressing life-threatening illnesses,
Right.
while they are trying to run their businesses. And what you find is that, there is some trauma underneath the physical disease or illness, and there's also, when you are not addressing the trauma, you notice, if you look at the statistics,
Mm-hmm.
um, starting a new business, there's a high failure rate, with a new business.
Definitely.
So there, over here, you've got that to fear, and
Mm-hmm.
so people really feel like, well, I can't do anything but work for, way less money than a man earns for the same job, and just be stressed out, but at least I will have a roof over my head and barely enough to eat.
Yeah.
So there's this settling, on this side, and then you have the entrepreneurs who are working really, really hard, and then they're finding that it's very difficult to attract clients. It's very difficult to sustain a new business or a small business and just kind of get a heads up, on the market. So it's not easy, trying to become an entrepreneur. So that in and of itself,
that alone, right? Without the trauma added onto it, then
and
yes.
and then you throw the trauma on top of it, and the stress that's related, you are literally increasing the chances of failure when you add that. So you'll hear a lot of people say, well, I just don't have the money, I just don't have the time for therapy, I don't have the money, I don't have the time to take care of myself. And so here's what I would say, okay? And it really boils down to common sense. At the end of the day, you're a single mom. If you don't make the time, and if you don't budget the money to eat better, to take better care of yourself, to get therapy, because you know that you have this unhealed and undealt with trauma, then you're being what the British call penny wise and pound foolish, because their money, their currency is the pound. So you're pinching pennies, but you're being foolish, with your dollars, because if you don't invest in yourself, in your health, your mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual health, who is going to take care of your children? And who is going to take care of you when you get really sick?
Right.
See, that's the fear that's on the back of every woman's mind, every single mom. What am I going to do? Where am I going to go? That's the biggest fear. Right. So this is what I found, and you can talk to anyone who has actually done the work to heal or clear their trauma, is that those fears and those obstacles that the trauma caused, and I didn't mention addictions, food addiction, addiction to perfectionism, or smoking, or drinking, or doing drugs, or even prescription pills, whatever. Those addictions, and Gabor Mate, who is a trauma specialist as well, he says that, not every person who has been traumatized becomes an addict, but that every addict has been traumatized. And so that's another really compelling reason to look at your trauma and address it and make it a priority. Because if you don't make your health and your wellness your priority, then you're being foolish. You're being penny wise and pound foolish, because your health is your wealth.
Yeah, that's definitely your wealth.
And so you've got to make that a priority. And I know that people think that they can't, but when I look at people and I look at what you spend on designer shoes, or what you spend getting your nails done, or your hair done, or your makeup, or whatever with women, we tend to spend money and invest money on what we care about and what's important to us. And I think, and I'm going to ask you, don't you think it kind of boils down to the fact that as women in general, we don't put enough focus on our inner peace of mind and our inner well-being? We will invest on the outer.
Yes, and I was going to say that we invest on the outer because we feel like people can't see us on the inside, and
that's true.
And more people will see us on the outside more than what they see on the inside. So it's like we feel like we can kind of mask it in a certain way.
But let me say this now. For me, you are absolutely right. I look at people and I look at their eyes, because their eyes are the window to the soul, and I see the pain. I see the sadness. I see the trauma. And yet, there's nothing that anyone can do to help anyone, whether it's a therapist or a spiritual advisor or whoever, as an expert. There's nothing we can do until women in particular make themselves the same priority that they place on their parents or their children or their significant other. Because if you notice with women,
Yeah.
we tend to come last in that set of priorities.
Right. And
unless you're a narcissist.
No. I'm very much an empath, so I know how that is. However, I've noticed that we think that our job is to really make sure that we nurture these people.
Everybody
women,
put everybody else
put
first,
everyone
right?
else before ourselves, and so I think we automatically feel that people are going to do that back to us. So.
But how has that worked out for you?
It doesn't. It doesn't. So that's why I really want to dig deep, and I understand that you.
Okay, wait. I have to say, you hit something. You hit a chord.
I did.
Okay, when you said we think it's going to come back
right.
to us, what's really, that hit me, hard, because it's so true.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, okay, let me throw this at you. Okay, what other people think about you is directly proportional to what you think about yourself. So, or let me say, the way that people value you is in direct proportion to how you value yourself. So, when you place a low value on your time and your priorities, and you put everybody else ahead of you, it's basic kind of human nature where everybody's kind of self-absorbed, and they're caught up in their own issues and their own stuff. Right. And you notice they have no problem taking from givers.
True.
But don't you think another real problem is that people who are givers have a real hard time receiving?
No, that's 100% true, actually. Because even I feel like even when people try to do things for me, half the time I'm just like,
yeah, I know, I'm good.
It's okay. You don't have to. You're too
I got this. I'm Superwoman.
That
Wonder Woman over here.
That's actually the perfect correlation, I feel like, between that. So thank you for bringing that up, because a lot of the times, just even, watching my grandmother, she's been working 50, 60 years, and it's like nonstop every day. My friends are like, I see her in that same chair working, and it's just like, I know, but that's her passion. And I've realized sometimes that might not be her passion. Her passion might just be to provide for her family and to make sure that at least she's got people to provide for her at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. That she always says that. Well, I know that one day you guys are going to grow up and you guys are going to take care of me. It's just like, no doubt. But we need you to take care of you first, because it's hard for us to take care of people when they can't take care of themselves. And
well, now think about this. Okay. You have that kind of empathy for your mother, your grandmother, your mother and your grandmother. Mm-hmm. Why can't you develop that for yourself? Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, we are socialized and conditioned, as you said, to put everybody ahead of us. Mm-hmm. So if not now, then when?
Then when? I love that. And I love, you travel so much. It's like every time I talk to you, you're in another country. So I'm really, really blessed to be able to have you here, because I promise you.
And you caught me in the nick of time.
Yes, because you're about to leave again. So, traveling, and just when you travel with your clients, what do you usually like? You can only take yourself with you. You don't take a bunch of excess tools, excess.
Well, let's just say that now that's another. Well, you're good with the questions. That's an important question, because like with airline travel, they make it so difficult with luggage. And then when you're like jet setting all over the country, because I just came back from all over Italy, London, France, on the French Riviera, down to Malta, and you have to learn to carry only the basics with you. I literally did that trip that was almost a month with one carry-on and a backpack.
That's me going to Vegas for the weekend.
And the backpack fit on the carry-on. And I did have a purse, but it wasn't a big purse.
Okay.
So what I've had to do, because I do need certain medical equipment that I carry with me that's essential if I'm going to help someone who is sick. I use pulsed electromagnetic frequency devices. I have a very expensive scalar wave cold laser, but they're compact and they're small. And because I've had it damaged on an airline before, when they took my bag at the gate and said, "Oh, we need to, you know, put it in the carrier." I make sure that that doesn't happen. So it is important to travel light and only bring the essentials with you when you're traveling. But in terms of me being able to be of service to people anywhere I go, I never meet a stranger.
Right.
I'm very open and friendly. I am reserved because I'm an empath, and I can sense when I don't want to be around that person's energy.
Right.
But it's you had asked me before the interview, like, how do you get clients? Well, it's just, you let people take an interest in what you do, but the way that people connect with you is because you're interested in them. So the people that I talk to are people that I'm interested in. And once they find out, that I, specialize in natural healing and trauma work, they want to know more, because everybody's traumatized. Everybody has some kind of physical issue or emotional issue. So it's universal, and I think it's very important as an entrepreneur, number one, to do what you're passionate about, but also whatever that is that you're passionate about, make sure that you are being of service to other people, and also make sure that you're giving them what they want. Because I thought that I could get out of doing the whole look younger, live longer, lose weight workshops that I literally trademarked. That's like let me call it my brand.
Okay.
But I wanted to focus more on the trauma healing. But what I found was that because people are so sick physically from the trauma, I couldn't get rid of that part of it. I just had to expand it, and include the trauma healing as a part of the workshops on looking younger, living longer, and losing weight. And then, at my age, at 65, and I still have a waistline.
I still can't even hear you say 65.
And I can hike, and I can run, and I'm very agile, and have more energy than most young people. They also look at that, in terms of wanting help from me, because they look at me and they go, well, when I turn 65, I want to be able to do what you're able to do, and I want to have the energy that you have. Because when we were in Italy, my daughter had invited two of her friends, and they started joking. They were like, "Yeah, you're not 65, there's no way, look at you."
As you've already lapped them up a mountain. And
Oh my God, I had so much more energy than they had, and I could literally do a lot more than they could do. And I was there with an injured knee. I had fallen down the stairs and injured my knee on right before I left, but I didn't let that stop me. I don't let anything stop me.
And that's what I love about you. I mean, not about you, but just strong women. We don't let anything deter us from our goals, and for also helping other people reach their goals, And so you bring up a very valid point, and I just, as far as the trauma correlates to people's health, you can't get past, the physical part, the diseases,
you have
and
to
everything.
address it.
You
I
have to address it. Yeah. But you sneak it in there without really telling people, like, here, we're going to deal with your trauma, because your trauma is causing you to gain weight. Your trauma is causing you to have anxiety. Your trauma is causing you not to sleep and have insomnia.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. And it's interesting because a lot of people don't want to think about their trauma when it comes to just life.
Listen, honestly, they think that if I don't think about it, if I just suppress it and forget about it, it'll go away.
No, I've definitely dealt with that. And me personally, I mean, we all kind of go through our own different traumas, and I just feel like sometimes I'm not affected by it. But then little do I know, maybe sometimes I'll catch
It
myself
pops
like,
up.
oh, I need to work extra hard today, or I need to do this extra hard today, or like,
Or what about
I
when you
need to
get
cuddle on my
triggered?
son.
What about when you get triggered?
Right. It
Comes
really
up.
comes up. Yeah, I think at that point I just kind of shut myself out from the rest of the world when I start to feel triggered, because I'm just like, let me take a moment to just be by myself and think about what I need to think about. But
But it still doesn't go away.
it still doesn't go away.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I love the fact that you're addressing that. And, when it comes to as far as asking how you get clients, yes, but how do you actually support yourself with this kind of stuff? Do you do workshops where you charge people? You do like meal plans, or you do this? Because I know that with our work, it's very hard to put a price tag on what we do.
I agree. And that goes back to, and it's a process with women, of learning your worth. And looking at what you do and comparing it to the marketplace and what other people are doing, and the value in what you do. So I am a big proponent of people having multiple streams of income. Not putting all your eggs in one basket and counting on one thing. So even, for me, retiring early on a very small, and I mean very, very small retirement income. So because, it gets to the point where it's just too stressful working for other people, and, dealing with their undealt with trauma.
The bosses that you're always arguing with, and you wonder why they always, yes, they're still dealing with a lot of things.
Exactly. And also, remember, I wrote the one of the first books for the layman on personality disorders called I Thought I Was the Crazy One. And so not only are you dealing with people who have not dealt with their trauma, but you're also dealing with a lot of personality disorders, because they gravitate to positions of power because they love to control and manipulate people, and they're very easily threatened by anyone who is independent and free thinking. Because one thing about personality disorders is that there's nothing original about them. There's nothing that's truly creative about them. And so if they see someone like you who is original and free thinking, and you are actually doing things outside of the box, it really, really disturbs them. Yes. So I think a lot of people are at that place, and a lot of women, where they're just tired of being controlled. They're tired of being told what to do, and when to come to work, and when to leave, and how many hoops to jump through. So that was the case for me. It was like, you know what? I mean, it would really be nice to stay and have that big full retirement check, but will I even survive this if I stay?
Right. Number one, let me think about myself first.
Yes, and my health and all of that. So my thing is devising multiple streams of income where, if you're not making enough money to support yourself, you've got to figure out other things that you can do on your own time, that will bring in income. And I think that a mistake that people make when they start their own business is they don't have any savings. They don't have a support system of, let's say, a family who says, okay, well, I'll be here. I believe in what you're doing, and I'll be here to help you while you're getting your business off the ground. The majority of people I know don't have that luxury. It is a luxury. So if you have that luxury, take advantage of it, and make sure that you make their belief in you and their investment in you worth their time, where after a year, they're looking and going, well, what have you accomplished?
You've been doing this
where,
for years.
Where are you going with this?
Right.
So you've got to put a time limit on it. most new businesses fail within that first year. So you probably want to give yourself a couple of years or maybe 3 to get that business where you want it to go. So that would mean, I would say, have some kind of part-time job, some kind of income coming in where you're not having to ask for money just for food,
Right.
and for gas, and you have to plan for it, because there are these people who just like, I'm going to quit my job. And
I
I'm going to
always
start a
advise
business.
not to do that with
No.
every business owner. I always tell them you should have at least a few months of just life savings to take care of yourself in case of
More than a
anything.
few
And
months.
even have
Minimum
a part-time.
6 months.
Minimum 6 months.
Minimum
And then
6
even have a
months. And that's
part-time
not
job.
even enough.
You
Yeah,
know?
and even you have multiple streams of income. You do way more than one thing.
I do way more than one thing, yes.
But and it's necessary.
Yeah. I'm a very creative person, so it's hard for me to sometimes put a price tag, like I said, on my creative endeavors.
But you have to.
You have to.
And it got to that point where I said, when I had a really comfortable stream of income coming in before I retired, I could give my services away. But now I really can't. And then I had to look at what other people were charging who were not getting results, who were not even qualified at what they were doing, and they were charging more than I started out charging. And I went, wait a minute, you're still thinking that you have this regular income coming in, and you don't. So you have to charge at least somewhere within where the market is, because there's this thing about people, and it's unfortunate, if you give it to them for free, they don't appreciate it. But if you give it to them, let's say, and you say, okay, how about this? I'll show you what I do. And I'm going to do this for you because you need help right now. But this is what it's worth, okay? And I'm doing it because I would, if you like it, then because with the girl that ended up sponsoring the workshops for me in Peru, I did make that a part of the contingency. I will do the trauma healing on you, and she had multiple traumas. But she had this beautiful resort and this facility where it was, perfect to do workshops and seminars. And I said, and once we heal your trauma, then we can do workshops and seminars, because I knew that this was something she wanted to do. She wanted to teach about how to clean up the environment, and how to use recyclable things to make beautiful stuff with. And so I knew that was something that she wanted to do, and it was something that we could work together on. And it worked out beautifully, because she ended up sponsoring the workshops. I ended up helping her, her family with trauma healing, her friends. So it became something very beneficial for her and for me, where I believe in win-win.
Collaborated.
Yeah, it was very collaborative, but I just said, okay, if you're going to put them on, I don't have to do anything. I'll split 50-50 with you. Very fair. Okay. I don't believe in taking advantage of people. So as an entrepreneur, you got to work with the people that come into your life that have an interest that's similar to yours, who, for me, it's important to work with people that want to be of service, and that want to contribute to society.
And I think that's why we're here today, because I love the fact that you've been contributing to society. I think I've heard your name multiple times before I even got to actually meet you in person. Exactly. And this is actually the first time we've met in person.
Exactly.
And we've been talking
for 3 years.
We've been talking, and it's, you've met my grandfather, you've helped him and his friend with their, just different, helping them eat healthier.
Issues,
My stepdad with his, he does the whole diabetes thing.
Oh yeah, we did. Well, he saw me at the college doing these workshops and seminars, and he said, "Oh, let's get some grant money, and do this."
That's him,
so that's how I met him.
That's awesome, and I just love the fact that you are so selfless when it comes to actually helping people, and I just definitely hope that all of that gets put back in return with you as well.
Well, and as you said, it is important to figure out how to make money off of
Right.
it. And it's been a journey for me going from giving everything away to realizing, oh, you can't do that anymore.
Yeah, you
You've
have
got
to
to
survive.
charge. Yeah, you've got
Mm-hmm.
to charge. But at the same time, at least 20% of the work that I do, I still do 20% for free. I mean, like most people have the biblical, 10% tithing, and I leave 20%
Right.
there. And that makes me feel good,
That's good.
for the people that have no job,
Right.
they really need help and they're trying to get on their feet. But I'm also very selective about who I give my time and energy to for free now. I don't throw good money after bad in terms of trying to deal with someone who is in complete crisis mode and they can't even see in front of their hand.
No, and a lot of people will not even distinguish the two, whether they're ready to face
Yes.
that or whether they're still dealing with that
and
kind of
and
trauma.
I and I'll share something with you.
Mhm.
Okay, that's very helpful. Okay, in determining who I'm going to help, and I learned this while I was in India.
Okay, my best friend, she loves India. I have to introduce you to Vivian.
Okay, well, I was at Oneness University, and I had literally fractured my ankle by jumping down off of a hill and into a hole, and my ankle went. I heard it crack, and I fainted.
Oh,
and
I fainted too just listening to the crack.
Well, this is a funny little story. And two little bald-headed monks, I woke up and they had just like magically appeared, and they carried me down the hill, and I was with my daughter, and it was literally me running after her, trying to keep her out of danger that I ended up getting injured. And so they said, it's your job to walk your mom back to the university. So I leaned on her hobbling, on one foot, right? And the ankle is all swollen and I'm in pain. And I get back there, and the place is in the middle of nowhere, like 2 hours from anywhere. And there's a little village. And so my teacher comes and says, okay, we'll have to call the doctor. We'll have to get the doctor. And I'm going, oh, it's going to be the village doctor. But in my mind, I'm like, man, I'm here for a month. This is not going to happen. I am not ruining my trip, And I didn't know how this was going to get fixed, but I just knew that I was not going to be hobbling, while I was there. And so he says, I'm going to go get the doctor. Now, little did I know that Deepak Chopra's doctor was visiting the campus that day. And he didn't even tell me until later who it was. And so this little short man comes in and he looks at my ankle and he says, would you like for me to heal it? And I thought, that's an interesting question. And I thought, well, yes, I would. And so I said, yes, I would very much like for you to heal it.
Please. So I can get on with my mom.
Yes. I mean, nobody had said, would you like for me to heal it? And so I was like, yeah. Okay, I'm in India. Why not? Okay. And so he puts his hands on it and he gives me a little homeopathic thing to put under my tongue. And he says, go to sleep. And when you wake up in the morning, you'll be okay. Well, now some people will say, oh, it was just the power of suggestion, the placebo effect or whatever. But my ankle was fractured and it was this big. All right. And I fell asleep and I woke up a few hours later it was like in a dream state, and I needed to pee, and I'm running to the bathroom. My daughter jumps up. She goes, Mom, he said not to get on your foot until in the morning. And I look at my foot, the swelling's gone. I'm stamping my foot. I'm like, oh, nothing's wrong with my foot. My foot's fine. We're going to go, because we had somewhere to go later. I'm like, get dressed. We are going.
She's looking at you like, oh, that's a business man.
And she's like, Mom, no, you can't do it. And I was getting my little heels, to put on. She said, you cannot put those heels on. So I said, okay, we compromised, and I put on my little flat sandals, and I was healed. So here's what I learned from that. So I will listen to a new client. And you know how they like to whine or complain or whatever. I like to get things done. Exactly. And so I literally give them 5 minutes for me to get the information that I need to know what to do. And after 5 minutes, I say, now, okay, would you like to solve this problem today. And if they look at me like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Solve the problem? I didn't come here to solve the problem. I came here to whine. Okay. And when they give me that look, and I don't get an answer, I go, okay, come back when you're ready. You need a different therapist. You need a therapist that lets you just whine and complain, and you go back next week and they go, and so, how does that feel? That kind of thing.
What do you think about that?
No, what do you think about that? No, I get results. Okay.
Right.
So come back when you're ready.
Okay.
So that's how I learned to avoid dealing with people that don't want to deal with the problem. They just want to blame other people or whine about it. So it is very important, when you are a giver and when you are being of service, to determine who is a good investment of your time and energy.
Yes, definitely, because we do all have those clients who love to, and
waste your time,
dealing
and
with
your money. Time is money.
That's funny you say that. Even me dealing with the credit business. I have some clients who are looking to get into a house, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the next 6 months. They don't get started for another 2 months.
Oh, come
And
on.
then they never send their letters.
They're not serious.
And then they're wondering why they can't get their credit fixed in 2 months.
Because they won't do what it takes.
Because they don't want to put the work in. And I'm just like, I've given you my discount already
there you
5
go.
months ago. I'm trying to help you because you're my cousin on this person's side. But you can't help yourself right now. So that's why things are never...
There you go. So, you have to pay attention to that from the get-go, as my mother would say. You got to pay attention. If they're not, okay, this is the way I look at it. Okay, if you're an expert on credit repair, I'm not. So if I come to you and I'm asking for help, it would behoove me to listen to you and follow your instructions, correct?
Right.
Okay. So if the very first time the person doesn't follow the instructions, then, I would say, okay, well, I guess you need somebody else to do this for you.
Right. Yeah.
And just not because those people end up being a headache. They want their money back or they complain. They just create problems.
Well, they just give me anxiety because I really do deeply want to help people.
But who needs that?
We don't. And when people can't do this, it really does frustrate me sometimes. I just want to block their number. Stop calling.
Well, then do it. That's the point, is that there's that old saying of sometimes you got to be a little cruel to be kind. And it's a kind thing to set boundaries for yourself. You're being kind to yourself. But it's also kind to the other person so that you're giving them an opportunity to learn their lesson. Not to squander a good opportunity.
Right.
So does that make
sense? That makes 100% sense. All of the sense in the world. I'm going to go reevaluate
save you
some of my clients.
A lot of anxiety,
tonight.
Right?
Definitely.
Because look, not all money is good money.
It's good money.
Yeah, if the client is going to give you a headache or anxiety, and most likely at the end of the day, they're not going to refer anybody. They're probably going to complain somewhere. What have you accomplished? Honestly,
nothing.
I've been there,
just
done
a
that.
headache and
been
anxiety.
there, done that. I'm a lot older than you.
I love that.
So you can either learn things the hard way, but when I was really young, I've always read a lot. And what I realized was that I could learn a lot more from other people's mistakes than, and in learning that, I said, oh, they can save me a lot of time. And I wasn't one of those people who felt like, oh, I need to experience that. You know these people who feel like they've just got to run up against that brick wall to see what it feels like?
Yes. I've
No,
experienced.
I can
That's
look
my
at,
son, my 3-year-old son.
Okay, I can look at somebody else and go, oh, okay, that looks dumb.
Right.
That looks painful. That looks downright stupid. Yeah. And then I go, okay, I don't need
want that for myself.
None of that for me. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a much better way to get through life, because at the end of the day, you're not going to live long enough to learn your lessons the hard way. So it just made more sense to me to avoid making mistakes by learning from other people's experience. Now, look, all of this is common sense, but we also know that common sense is not very common. And you look at most people, this is another thing that I'll say to you, is look and pay attention to how conscious people are. Like one thing I like about you is that you're in the moment and you're attentive. You're paying attention to what's going on. Doesn't it really annoy you when you're around someone and they're off in la la land? You're going, hello. Okay. You don't do that, but you're looking in their eyes and they've disappeared.
They've disappeared mentally.
They're daydreaming, or they're thinking about what they're going to be doing in the next whatever. Yes. And, that kind of person is not all there.
Right.
They're running programs. They're not present. They're not present in the moment. And what I found with clients like that is that you will have to say things over and over. And it's going to take you 3 to 4 times longer with that client dealing with the same issue. So do you really want to do that? And see, for me, with the trauma healing, to give people the most bang for their buck, I give them a flat rate, and I know how much time it should take, and I factor in all of that, and I give them the most amount of time. Okay. But those people will still take twice as much of that time if you let them. And so I had to learn the hard way to say, and if you go over that allotted time, which is plenty of extra time, then you will start paying by the hour. Okay.
And then they kind of get
that takes care of it.
I love that. Wow.
People don't want to pay,
They put a lot of value on everything.
Yeah, they want something for nothing, and there is no free ride.
Yeah. No, in life, you have to definitely pay your dues, and a lot of it is based on your own self, which people fail to realize. So,
yes.
That's amazing. I'm super glad that you brought all of that up, and I'm so thankful for you to be here. And I know that,
we're losing light.
We're losing light. I know that you have to get on a plane very soon. So I'm just definitely grateful for you to take the time out, though, to come and speak with me and just really, give people a little.
Well, I love your mom and your stepdad, and just loved you from the first time we talked, just because you have.
I think I messaged you with stomach problems. I was like, I don't know how to heal my gut, and you're like, okay, go to Whole Foods, go get this, go get that. After like 5 hours, I was like, yes. After, I promise you, I still have the notes. It's like 2 pages of notes I just took from what to do. I got this really great book. You mentioned Deepak. I have The Secrets of Life, that book.
I'm not sure about that one, but I know the 7 Spiritual Laws of Success is really wonderful. I use that one in my classes.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. Another book that I don't know if you recommend, it's like a book of natural healing. It's a big encyclopedia.
Yes.
Do you have that book?
Listen. When I first came down with lupus and the doctors kept me in the hospital for 2 weeks, and here I was, a young woman, just hadn't even turned 30 yet, was almost getting ready to turn 30, and they're sending me home to die, because I'd had it since I was a child. I thought, well, what do they know anyway? Okay, they kept me in the hospital for 2 weeks and didn't even know what was wrong with me, and I don't know how many specialists it took, and they're not God. Anyway, so I just decided, I threw all their medicine away, and I had this library on the 3rd floor of my house, and I just expanded it to all self-help books and books on spirituality and books on healing, natural healing. And the one that I read immediately was the entire Encyclopedia of Healing by Edgar Cayce. And of course, Louise Hay's You Can Heal Your Life. And yes, everything on self-help. And, I think it's very important to learn about natural herbs and medicine. And so I studied with an herbalist. I met an Ayurvedic doctor while I was in India, and he gave me his book, and I worked with him. So you're going to get a lot of mileage by learning things for yourself. And I'm not saying don't go to a doctor. Yes,
Right.
you need to go to a doctor. You need to get diagnosed. You need to know what you're dealing with. But it's your choice to decide whether you're going to take prescription medicine or whether you're going to do natural herbal medicine. And I chose the natural route. And guess what? That's my right
That
to
is
do
your right.
that.
That is your
Okay?
human right. A lot of people, people don't understand they have their own right to do these things. They can either choose to
Listen to other people who think they're God, tell you to
Right.
go die.
and then get
I'm
addicted
still
to these
here.
other things, and then which in turn turns to other diseases, right?
Absolutely.
Or just listen to the universe and do things
Follow,
naturally.
there you go.
Follow
My
it.
inner guidance said, you're too young to die. You got too much to live for. And there is no problem without a solution.
I love this, and I love all of the quotes that you send me on a daily basis. Do you have any social media that people can kind of follow?
Yeah,
and
I'm
connect with?
on Instagram. The unpolitically correct truth.
I love it.
And my Facebook is private,
Okay.
but my Instagram is not.
I was gonna say I don't know if I have
Yeah.
you on Facebook, but I do have you on Instagram.
Yeah,
So we're gonna have to.
And I do my little memes.
I love your memes. That's
my
it.
little quotes.
Yes, your little quotes are amazing. So definitely go ahead and everyone just check her out and follow her on Instagram.
The unpolitically correct truth.
I'm going to post that here so you guys can make sure that you follow the right one. And definitely thank you so much for taking your time to just speak with everyone and myself.
Well, thank you.
You know.
And my website is drparthenia.com. DoctorParthenia.com.
Awesome.
All
Well,
right.
you heard it here first, guys. So definitely love all the energy, and everybody go ahead and reach out to Dr. Parthenia if you have any concerns or if you need any attention, any trauma healing, or
But don't call me if you just want to waste time.
don't call her if you want to waste time. These are for
Only if you
serious
want
clients
results.
only. I love it. Well, thank you so much, and I hope everything goes super well with you with your next travels.
Well, I'm loving life, and living it on my terms now.
Good.
I want to be like what Frank
That
Sinatra.
is the modern day feminism.
I did it my way. Like the first 2/3 of my life, I did it everybody else's way.
That's got to be the thing.
Now
I'm coming
I'm
into
doing it my way. Because I have the right to.
Amazing.
And you do too.
You do too. Okay, so don't forget that, everyone.